In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 college football games happening on September 5th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. James Madison versus Louisville. James Madison is headed to Louisville on Friday to face the Cardinals at L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium. Both squads opened the season with strong showings, but the strength of opponent tells a deeper story. The Dukes stomped FCS-level Weber State 45-10, while Louisville blew out Eastern Kentucky 51-17. Neither result tells us much about how these teams will hold up in real competition, but this matchup will. Louisville, on paper, has the edge in talent and depth. That's why they're laying a big number here, but that line is bloated when you look past the helmets and logos. The Cardinals are working in some new pieces at critical spots, and history says they don't always handle big spreads well. They've failed to cover in 3 of their last 5 games as double-digit favorites. One of those included an outright home loss to Stanford last season, a game they were expected to win comfortably. James Madison has shown they can show up when they're not expected to. They've covered in 4 of their last 6 as dogs of 10 or more, and they're not just covering, they're winning. You remember the 70 burger they dropped on North Carolina last year in Chapel Hill? That wasn't luck. That was a team with legitimate firepower, especially under center. The Dukes don't look outmatched here. They look live. 14 points, that's just too much. Even on the road, even in a hostile spot, this line looks off. Louisville's quarterback play raised some eyebrows in Week 1. There were some sloppy moments, turnovers that didn't cost them against Eastern Kentucky, but could be a different story against a real defense. James Madison's front 7 isn't elite, but they're disciplined and opportunistic. They can force a mistake or two, and that might be enough to flip field position and momentum. Bottom line, Louisville may still win this game, but the spread is inflated. The number assumes James Madison can't hang physically or schematically, and that's just not true. As our first pick for this matchup, the James Madison Dukes to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Louisville hung 51 on Eastern Kentucky, and it wasn't a fluke. That offense is explosive, and they don't shy away from pace. James Madison, meanwhile, put up 45 of their own. The over cashed easily in both teams' openers, and the trends lean that way too. The total has gone over in 4 of Louisville's last 5, and the same holds true for 8 of James Madison's last 11 when they've been underdogs. The Cardinals have cleared 30 points in 8 straight games, dating back to their 52-45 shootout loss to Miami late last season. In those 10 most recent outings, the team total over is 7-3, but what's more telling is how many points they're giving up, 30 or more in 4 of those, and 20 plus in 8. That matters because James Madison has cracked the 20-point mark in 8 of its last 9, and that's not against cupcakes either. Defenses looked fine in Week 1, but the level of competition wasn't high. Both these units are about to get tested, and they'll give up more than they did last week. Even if both teams come in thinking they want to run the ball and chew clock, these backfields are too good not to pop some chunk plays. It might not be a track meet, but it won't be a slog either. When you zoom out, there's value on the total. Both teams can score. Both defenses bend. That's usually the recipe. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Northern Illinois versus Maryland. Maryland will host Northern Illinois on Friday night in a non-conference tilt that feels lopsided before the ball is even kicked. Both teams sit at 1-0, but what happened in Week 1 told us just about everything we need to know. Maryland lit up Florida Atlantic, winning 39-7 in a performance that never felt close. Northern Illinois, meanwhile, needed every second and a special teams touchdown to squeak past Holy Cross 19-17. That's not the kind of showing that inspires confidence heading into a Power 5 road test. This isn't just a talent gap, it's a momentum gap. Maryland, even with a roster full of new names and one returning defensive starter, looked fast, organized, and balanced. The story of the game was freshman quarterback Malik Washington. He was in command the entire night, finishing with 258 yards and 3 touchdown passes on 27 completions, and he didn't even need to run once. That speaks volumes about how comfortable he already is inside the pocket and how much the coaching staff trusts his arm and his decision-making. If he's already this sharp, he's going to be a problem as the year goes on. The Huskies, on the other hand, looked stuck in the mud. Their offense was hesitant and conservative, letting the quarterback throw just 18 times. They tried to win the old-fashioned way, with defense and ball control, but they nearly got burned by an football championship subdivision team. And that's the concern here. If Maryland gets on the board early, can Northern Illinois answer back? They barely managed one offensive touchdown in Week 1, and now they're facing a more athletic, more aggressive defense that just forced 6 turnovers last week. That's a tall ask. There's no need to get cute here. Maryland has more speed, more juice, and more upside. NIU isn't built to come from behind, and if they fall behind early, they're in trouble. As our first pick for this matchup, the Maryland Terrapins to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Even though Maryland looked electric on offense last week, this game has the makeup of a slower, lower-scoring grind. That 39-point outburst was impressive, but it came against a FAU team that couldn't stay on the field and gave up short fields. NIU's defense, for all the offense's struggles, can still play. They've allowed 20 or fewer in 8 of their last 10 games, and they're usually pretty stingy in matchups like this. That defense is going to have to carry them again here, because the offense just isn't built to shoot it out. That kick return touchdown last week made the box score look a little better than it should have. Maryland's defense may be full of newcomers, but they looked locked in last week. Only one returning starter and still just 7 points allowed. That tells you they've hit on the transfers and have the right pieces already playing at game speed. Their ability to control the line of scrimmage is going to keep NIU behind the chains, which in turn keeps the clock moving and the possessions limited. Even with a comfortable win, it might not turn into a full offensive showcase. The Huskies haven't scored more than 25 points in 6 of their last 10 games. The Terrapins have scored fewer than 25 in that same number, and when Maryland is controlling tempo and taking the air out of the ball, it plays right into an under. Expect a defensive tone, a controlled pace, and a scoreboard that moves slower than last week. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Western Illinois versus Northwestern. Northwestern takes the field Friday at Martin Stadium, playing in their temporary home as they seek a bounce back following a rough opener against Tulane. That game exposed weaknesses, an overwhelmed offensive line, a quarterback struggling under pressure, and defensive front play that was unable to stem the run. The adjustments required are clear: better protection for Preston Stone, more production from the wideouts beyond Griffin Wild, and a defensive line that steps up in the run and pass rush. Western Illinois arrives reeling from a 52-3 blowout at the hands of Illinois, a game that put their physical limitations on full display. The Leathernecks were overmatched in every phase, pitched in by poor third down efficiency, lopsided yardage totals, and minimal offensive rhythm. But teams can sometimes respond to embarrassment with renewed focus. This game sets up as a necessary reinvestment in program credibility for Northwestern, a shot to right the ship at home against an football championship subdivision opponent. As our first pick for this matchup, the Northwestern Wildcats to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. On the scoring outlook, these teams project to play very different styles. Northwestern could choose to slow things down, especially if they open with a dominant tone up front. A methodical ground control approach, featured in clean drives and cautious passing, could limit the game's rhythm. Meanwhile, Western Illinois isn't built to trade explosive plays, and few defenses allow football championship subdivision opponents to run wild when they're prepared. At the same time, Northwestern may not need to open up offensively once a solid lead is established. They can lean on clock management, conservative play calling, and minimizing mistakes. Assuming the Wildcats lay the foundation early and the Leathernecks stand no threat of a rally, the game could stay within 2 quiet quarters and end a bit lifeless. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Eastern Washington versus Boise State. Eastern Washington heads into a tough environment Friday night as they face off against Boise State at Albertson Stadium. After an eye-opening loss to Incarnate Word in Week 1, where they allowed over 400 yards of offense and showed little resistance in the trenches, the Eagles now face a step up in physicality and talent. This is a team that has struggled defensively over the last few seasons, and Week 1 reinforced those issues. Their secondary was routinely beaten, and they were gashed on early downs, putting them in bad spots all game long. Even if the offense moves the ball in spurts, they're likely to struggle with the speed and pressure of a much more aggressive defense this time around. The Eagles have been known to pull off surprises in the past, but this isn't the ideal matchup for them to bounce back. Boise State, on the other hand, dropped their opener to South Florida in a steamy, mistake-filled road game. But that result shouldn't trigger alarm bells just yet. The Broncos still have a potent backfield, an experienced quarterback in Talon Green, and a defensive front that is capable of dominating weaker offensive lines. Returning home to the blue turf where they traditionally play much better, Boise will be looking to reassert themselves and set the tone for the rest of the month. There's every reason to believe the team will play with urgency and sharpness following a disappointing debut. Eastern Washington gives them a chance to work out early kinks and control the game from the opening quarter. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boise State Broncos to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Eastern Washington's defense looked completely overmatched in their opener, allowing long, sustained drives and showing very little push up front or discipline in the secondary. The Eagles gave up 42 points to an incarnate word team that doesn't exactly operate with Boise State's level of size or athleticism. That sets the stage for the Broncos to put up big numbers on their home turf, especially if their offense cleans up the miscues that derailed them in Tampa. Boise State should be able to exploit Eastern's soft run defense and lean into their tempo once they build a lead. But Eastern Washington's offense can still push the tempo themselves, particularly in garbage time. Quarterback Keiko Vesperis is capable of moving the ball when the pressure is off, and that's often when football championship subdivision teams grab late points to drive totals upward. The Eagles still play with pace, and if the game script plays out as expected, we could see several short drives and fast possessions on both sides. Add in Boise State's motivation to bounce back with style, and this one has the feel of a game that could see fireworks, especially late in each half when defenses loosen. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.